You've already spent money on orthotics or insoles hoping they'd fix your uneven hip. Maybe you've even thrown hundreds of dollars at tools and exercises, trying to correct your uneven shoulders and maybe even your scoliosis. Well, let me guess, nothing has worked and you're still searching. Probably feeling a little bit frustrated and hopeless. Does that sound familiar? If so, don't worry. Today, I'm going to show you how to correct your bad posture and your scoliosis by going to the source, which is your feet. Most doctors don't know or don't want to tell you that things like hip imbalances, poor posture, and even things like scoliosis can actually be coming from the feet. See, the feet are the foundation of the way we stand. And for the last 100 years or so, people have been looking at poor posture as a spine problem. But if you take a step back and look at the way our body moves around on the planet, the way we walk, then the feet can really be the source of this. Now, I used to make this mistake a lot. I used to help people who had postural problems just by working on their back. And I got frustrated when specific exercises didn't work, when specific scoliosis exercises didn't work. And then when I realized that actually I was missing something, I was missing this zoom out and looking at the feet, that's when I started getting results. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to assess your feet so you can find out whether or not they are affecting your posture. So I'm joined by Julie here, and what we're going to do is assess her feet today. The first thing we have to look for is, are the arches on both sides of the feet equal? Is one foot habitually collapsed down when compared to the other? Let's have a look at what this looks like. What we're looking for here is whether or not this arch on the inside is equal to this arch on this side. If it was collapsed down, it would look like this. This arch would be down relative to this arch, and this is what we're looking for. Now, Julie has nice arches, they're both the same, and so that isn't a problem with her. But what you're looking for is a difference in height here and here. Now, there are three arches in the foot. There's also a lateral arch, and then there's a transverse arch across here. But we're only interested in what we call the medial arch at the moment. Now we know how to check the differences in arch height, but now we need to find out whether or not the arch actually is mobile and it can move. This is how you test whether or not your arch is functional. And so what we want to do is have Julie turn to the side, step forward with one leg, and we can see here that her arch is upright. But what we want to do now is see if she bends this knee forward, does her arch go down and in, and then as she comes back up, does it return to where it was? If it does, this is a functional arch. It works perfectly. But an arch that stays up and doesn't move as she goes forwards and backwards is a rigid arch. And then an arch that's collapsed down and stays down as she moves forwards and backwards is a collapsed arch. So there can be three types we've got here. One that doesn't move, one that moves, and one that doesn't move as it stays down. So now we know whether or not the arch is movable, or whether it's rigid, or whether it's collapsed. But if it's rigid, it needs to be mobilized, and if it's collapsed, it needs to be mobilized and strengthened. So we're going to get to how to do that in a minute. But before we do that, we also need to look at the ankle, because the ankle can actually affect the way the foot moves. And so I'm going to show you a super simple ankle assessment that you can do to find out whether or not one side is tighter than the other. It's been my observation on doing this test on hundreds and hundreds of people that women tend to have tighter ankles than men. And that may be due to wearing high heels. You see, when you wear high heels, the calf muscles at the back of the leg are shortened, and the ankle is put into a position where it generally adapts to it. And so once it's adapted to that shortened position, it's actually harder to walk around without heels on. And we're going to test this with Julie right now. Once your foot is positioned facing the wall, I want you to drive your knee forward to see if you can touch it without your heel coming off the ground. Okay, in this case, the heel came off the ground, so we're a little too far away. Just go forward slightly and just a little bit further forward. That good. Drive your knee towards the wall, and can you do that without your heel lifting off the ground? Not quite. Do you see how heel lifts up there? Go again. See it? See the way the heel lifts up? Okay, so you can't quite do that. So go forward just a little bit more. Excellent. Go to there. All right, that's probably the limit. If we go back a little bit, her heel will lift off. If we go further forward, it'll be too simple for her. So that's going to be the point there. Now, we're going to mark that spot, and we're going to bring your left foot up to that exact same line. Take the right foot backwards. Now drive the left knee forward, and we'll see if your left knee can do it. And our left knee can do this as well. Good, easily. Now we're going to bring the left foot back just a little bit, and we'll see, can we go a little bit further? No, her heel lifts off the ground. And so her ankle flexibility is actually equal both sides. But as a rough measure, if you're doing this and your knee is, your toes are up against the wall and your knee can't touch the wall, you can't do this, that means you've got a very tight ankle and you would need to use some exercises to stretch and strengthen these muscles here. As it goes, Julie is about average with her ankle flexibility, and there isn't a difference between the two. But what does a difference actually look like? So let's bring this back to here. If we were here, let's say this is just 2 finger widths away from the wall, a couple of inches. We go forward and that works, no problems. Come back, and then we were to put this one up here. You go again, but this time lift your heel. And this happened with the same distance away from the wall. That's the difference we're looking for. This one would be the tighter ankle because it couldn't do the same thing as the left ankle without the heel lifting up off the ground. So now you can see how your foot having a collapsed arch could lead to uneven hips, poor posture, and maybe even scoliosis. Now, someone might try and sell you an orthotic to lift up that arch, but that's not a long-term solution. There are ways to strengthen your foot and stretch your ankle, which will be far better for you and give you a permanent solution. The first step I recommend most of my clients is to transition to minimalist footwear. A study came out just quite recently showing that 6 months of wearing minimalist footwear can actually increase the strength in your foot by about 60%. I'm going to put 2 links in the description below to my 2 favorite brands, which are Burberry and Vivo Barefoot. Now, I won't assume that you can get these tests right the first time. It took me a long time to learn the tests and when to use them. For example, when I'm looking for the cause of poor posture, uneven hips and scoliosis, and I've cleared the feet, I have to check the muscles in the legs, the knees, the hips, and even things like digestion and scars from surgery. Nevertheless, this is a great first step to understand your body and determine if your doctor is on the right path to correcting your posture and managing your scoliosis. But if you're not convinced you're getting the best and you want a personalized plan to help you correct your feet, improve your posture, beat back pain and scoliosis, then click the link in the description below or in that first pinned comment, book a call, and let's chat.